Yeah, DS walk, daredevil walk, signature finisher. Let's go. Mic check, fade in, red light on. DS in the chair, new day, same dawn. Got notes in the pad, got truth on deck. Ask real tight questions, put respect on the check. We break plays down, then we break them again. From the huddle to the hustle to the how we would win. You can hear grind talk in the breaths we take. Every story got a scar, every star got weight. It's that signature of finisher talk. Standing every show with DS walk. Daredevil J, bring the flame, no fear. If you came for the real, park right here. It's that signature of finisher talk. Running to the air, we don't never cut it short. Turn the volume up till the doubt disappear. If you came for the real, park right here, never drop in. Whole move, switch lanes, spin facts so sharp, cut straight through games. We don't chase bright noise, we just chase that proof. Put the mic on a mission, let the tape show truth. From the couch to the court, from the block to the board. Every guest got a journey, every play got a score. We just tie threads together, make the picture clear.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Signatures and Finisher podcast. I'm your host, DS Wall. You know, before I introduce the real star of the show, the genius himself, I want you guys to please make sure you subscribe, share our show, and actually later on you can catch our show on YouTube. So make sure you watch it. And if you're one of those people who want to see short clips, check that out on Instagram, Facebook. You'll see me, myself, the genius Daredevil J here. Short clips, so make sure you guys check it out. Hey.
I didn't know we were doing short clips. You just need me to drop the one-liners then.
Yeah, I know. I'm dropping everything today. So, With that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Signature and Finisher podcast. And the star of the show, the man himself.
No.
Daredevil. Actually, let me say this right. Coming down to the ring. Standing from the other side of Michigan. A.K.A. the genius, Mr. Wrestling himself.
Trying to.
The man who is going to put Triple H out of work with his creative. And with my booking and his direction, am I enthusiastic that he's going to have me replace Road Dogg? I can't wait.
I would have to say Unreal would be a far better show.
That's true. And the man who's told me flat out that Michael P.S. Hayes will be fired within 30 seconds of taking over. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Daredevil J.
Yeah, Michael Hayes would be fired. 100. I don't even watch Unreal, so when I'm getting clips of like things that he said on Unreal about like, this is why Chelsea Green is a mid-level talent, you're an ass. You don't deserve to work there anymore. How Bruce Pritchard is still there, how Michael Hayes is still there, it boggles my mind. And it shows that Vince McMahon is still going to keep his hand in everything. As long as Triple H is still there, it's still going to be guided by Vince. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, 100%. Before we start the show, it's two things I got to get out the way. Number one, today's signature move is the phenomenal forearm. And today's finisher is, what did he call it? What's that submission move that AJ Styles do?
The calf crusher. Or calf crusher, yeah.
Yes.
I had muscle buster in my head because I was thinking about the vertebraker and everything else. But yeah, calf crusher.
Yeah, so today's signature move is the phenomenal forearm and finisher, the calf crusher, or the Styles driver. I think I said it right, but I could be wrong. So
Styles Clash?
Styles Clash. Yeah, there you go. Hey, the man got many finisher moves here.
He does evolve them as a proper wrestler should.
It's really with AJ Styles, it's like it depends on who's the opponent, how he feeling. You're gonna get the forearm and you get the Styles Clash, or you'll get the phenomenal forearm, or you get the calf crusher.
I'll give you a 1-up just because he doesn't do it anymore, because he's flat out said he doesn't remember how to do it. I'll give you a Spinal Tap.
Yes, he did that in TNA.
Yes, and he has flat out said he doesn't remember how to do it because he hasn't done it in so long.
Well, maybe we need to send him some videos so he can remember how to do it. So when he had his final match, we can see it.
I don't think he would, even if you showed him, it's not like he couldn't look it up. I don't think he has any interest in ever doing it again.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to AJ Styles. And number two, before we start the show today, it is Championship Sunday, NFC Championship games. We got the Patriots and the Broncos. Then we got the Rams and the Seahawks. Who you have today?
I mean, if Bo Nix wasn't hurt, I would definitely take the Broncos, but you kind of have to go to the Patriots.
Just because of that?
Just because of that. I mean, they still have Sean Payton. They still have a lot of things that they could win, but the Patriots defense is really good. And not having Bo Nix, like Stidham hasn't taken a snap in like 2 years, like in a game. So I expect there to be at least 3 interceptions. And if there's not 3 interceptions, he's not throwing the ball more than 10 yards at a time.
I think the Broncos are getting their running back today. J.K. Dobbins, he's coming back today. That Patriots left side offensive line is very suspect, and which that'd be a problem because Denver broke the stats record as a franchise with 68, and that's a very good defense. We talking about top. I think they had the #1 defense in the NFL, and the Patriots like top 5. And
that's why I'm saying if Bo Nix was there, I'm taking the Broncos. Without Bo Nix, I got to leave it to Drake May.
I think what we're going to see is a lot of heavy running the football from the Broncos. Stidham is just going to manage the game, going to let the defense trying to win this game.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's going to be a pass over 10 yards from the Broncos.
No. He's not going to pass the ball no 30 times, no 25 times. In my mind, I want the Patriots going to win. Even though Drake May didn't really dominate last game. He had 3 touchdown passes, but the Houston Texans kind of, helped him out with the 8 turnovers. CJ Stroud, about 5 of them his own. In my mind, I'm saying Patriots, but I know in my gut, not in my heart, in my gut, I want the Broncos to win, but I am actually going to go with the Patriots just because Bo Nix is not playing, and that's a huge loss. Because it doesn't matter. It matters how the defense is going to play and your running is going to be there, all that. But when you need a quarterback, someone to make a play when it counts, Drake May's going to make that play. I don't think Jarrett Stidham is going to make that play. I seen the press conference with Sean Payton. He didn't look too confident that Jarrett Stidham.
He's going to say all the right stuff because, I mean, what were they going to do? They're going to run out and sign Colin Kaepernick and play, you got 2 weeks to prepare. Come on.
He's a better option.
I think they're just going with the guy that's been there, that he knows the offense. There's nothing to learn, but I want the Broncos to win, but I'm expecting the Patriots to win. As far as Seattle, I don't think there's any question that Seattle's going to win.
Ooh, I'm taking the Rams, man. Here's why I'm taking the Rams. One, because I do believe that Matthew Stafford, big game. Matthew Stafford, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I'll sit here and say that. I do believe that he's going to make plays when they count. I like Sam Darnold. I got nothing against Sam Darnold. But I do remember how Sam Darnold do kind of chokes in big games. This is a big game, and they're going to need Sam to step up. I just think that Matthew Stafford going to make the plays to help the Rams to win the game. And plus,
I just think Seattle's defense is too good.
Yeah, 100%. But guess what? The Rams defense are good too. We got 4 teams who got very good defenses here. I trust Matthew Stafford.
That. It's almost like defense wins championships.
Yeah.
Amazing. No, I want the Rams to win. I do, because Stafford is still one of my favorite quarterbacks. I mean, he's not Dan Marino. That's my all-time favorite quarterback. But it makes me sad that Stafford's going to be remembered as a Ram more than a Lion. But
that's the Lions' fault.
It's 100% the Lions' fault. But I want the Rams to win, but I'm pretty sure Sam Darnold is going to get him through. I don't think he's going to have an amazing game. I think Seattle's defense is going to win it for him. But yeah, I think it's going to be Seattle and the Patriots again.
I think that that crowd in Seattle is going to play a huge difference in this game. I think they're going to do everything they can to rattle the Rams. I don't think this game is going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think this game is going to be close. It might come down to a field goal. It might come down to a last-second touchdown. But I'm still sticking with the Rams. I trust Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka. These guys going to make plays. It's going to be a very good game. And whoever running back, in my opinion, rush for 100 yards is going to win this game. And that's why I'm picking the Rams.
The Rams secondary bothers me, though. And that's another reason why I'm giving it to Seattle is I don't like the Rams secondary. Like, if you go back to the divisional game, or the semi-conference game, that last Hail Mary that Caleb threw up there was 2 guys over there that just gave up on the play.
Right.
They assumed that, those guys are going to go get a sack, and they just stopped running it out. The dude, Komet, he had 8 yards of space. There was 2 guys over there that if they would have ran the play out, probably would have knocked the ball away. But they gave up. And you could see them giving up when you watch different angles. They just stopped running. So I don't want to go against Stafford because I don't know if he has the record still for most comeback wins, but I know he's up there.
Yeah, he's top 3.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. And he does stay cool and calm. But if it gets into a blowout where he has to start throwing it, he is very much Brett Favre. Well, he'll start throwing bad passes just because he starts chucking it up there. And as good as Nakua is, he's not Calvin Johnson.
No, but he's a tough receiver to bring down. And the thing is, yeah, if you want to beat the Rams, that's how you do it. You give Matthew Stafford one, you make him pass like 50, 60, 40, 50 times, you will win the game. The difference between Matthew Stafford now compared to Matthew Stafford, he's with Detroit, old regime with Detroit, is that he has a running game. And he has a running game that he trusts compared to the old regime with Detroit Lions, where the best running back he had was Javid Best, and he didn't last 3 seasons. So
he didn't last 1 season. Javid Best hurts my heart. The fact that, I mean, he was there, but like he didn't play. Like he played like 2 snaps and his career was over. I know, Javid Best hurts my heart.
I mean, he had 2 good seasons. That 3rd season, he just got. I mean, he was banged up while he was there, but that 3rd season,
he never should have been drafted. I mean, a guy that has concussion issues that much. I mean, I didn't hate it when they drafted him because I was a Javid Best fan. I mean, his first run in as a pro, like during the season, was a 88-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
like the dude could move. I also think the NFL was, that's when they were having the CTE lawsuit going on, and I think they screwed him over because of the lawsuit going on. I think he could have played if they would have let him.
Yeah. So that's my pick. That's our Matthew Stafford moment. And to all those haters of Matthew Stafford, some of those Lions fans, I bet y'all wish I had him right now, don't y'all? But that's for another day. That's for another day, another time. So with that said,
just fine. The offensive line is trash. And I said that as soon as Ragnar retired, once he made the decision, I'm done, I was like, they're going to suck.
Yeah, it was domino effect. Now they lost 3 offensive linemen. But hey, that's football, ladies and gentlemen. You get banged up. If you can't move, retire. Don't try to come back. Oh,
yep.
On today's show, it was titled The Saturday Night Setup. But me and Jamie did a 360 for everybody. So we're not going to talk about WWE Saturday Night's main event. It would be mentioned in a wrestling news notes. We won't be talking about SmackDown because it's SmackDown. And they lied to us. We're not going to talk about Raw because Raw, no matter what we say about Raw and SmackDown, whether it was a good show or a decent show, the WWE will find a way to mess it up and make the following show worse. So we're not going to do that. On today's show, we're going to talk about the history of wrestling. And not just history. We're going to talk about some WCW, Marcus Bagwell. We're going to talk about some Big Van Vader, some Steam. We're going to talk about all these cats because I think we don't give these guys any justice, or they just do. Because these guys are some of the best to ever do it. I mean, Marcus Bagwell dedicated his life to wrestling so much that he lost his leg.
I mean, losing the leg wasn't so much because of wrestling, is, having an addiction, but...
Come on, man. I was making a dramatic situation. Now you kind of messed it up.
But dang. I know, but sometimes you get people that watch like a 2-second clip and they'll be like, these guys are idiots because they don't even know the facts.
Yeah, I know.
Not that I'm not an idiot, but not for that reason. Buff Bagwell is weird to me because he was loved the entire time that he was in WCW. He was loved by like everybody backstage. He was loved by the crowd. It didn't matter if he was a face or a heel, and he never ever got a push. Like he was perfectly fine just being a tag team guy, whether it was with Scotty Riggs, Scott Norton. I want to say he had a short-term thing with Alex Wright too, but I could be off on that one because I know Alex Wright was in a couple different tag teams before he did the whole Brooklyn thing. Or Berlin, or whatever the hell he went by, I think. Yeah, it was Berlin. But yeah, he never really got a singles push like his entire time there. And he was there for basically the rise of WCW and the fall of WCW.
Yeah, he was there for 10 years, from 91 to 2001.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know what happened with WWE. He had like one match that everybody says was a terrible match. You go back and watch that match. That was standard WWE wrestling. There was nothing wrong with that match, really, at all. And whether Vince didn't like him, whatever it was, he got the one match and he was out. They kept Booker T, but they cleaned house on basically all the talent besides a handful of guys from WCW. And most of them were already signed before they bought WCW. But yeah, Buff Bagwell is just a really weird one because he was always over. He had a good moveset. He was entertaining in the ring. The women obviously loved him. And that's usually a marker. If the girls like you, you're going to get a push. But maybe he was just happy being a mid-carder. I don't know. But they could have done a lot more with him.
Well, Buff Bagwell I kind of think Buff Bagwell was in the wrong era of wrestling, and I say that because when he was in WCW, he's one of the few guys for his size, and he wasn't a big guy. He was what, about 5'8", 5'9". I was saying he wasn't no 6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
I'm pretty sure he had some height to him.
He was billed at 6'1",
6'1".
245. But he wasn't. He had for a guy his size, he had the look, he had the build, he had some mic skill, but he just wasn't the guy you can say, I can make him to a main eventer. I can make him into a world champion. Even though he did get a world championship shot against Sting. I want to say, what was it? It was
in like 98.
1992.
Back then, I thought he had one when he was in the NW.
Don't remember. I have to look it up. But
I think Buff Bagwell's biggest problem, he was in the wrong company. If you would have put him in WWF back then, with like the Val Venuses, the Godfathers, things. Godfather was a couple years later, but I think they could have done something with him.
I don't know, because I don't. If Vince didn't like him, or didn't see anything in him when he bought WCW, Vince would have that same opinion about him early on.
I think Vince just did that because he just wanted to basically shit on everybody from WCW. Because he had no problem with bringing Benoit over, Guerrero over. Hell, they brought Dean Malenko over. Is Buff Bagwell more entertaining than Dean Malenko?
Oh, 100%. But if you look at the value of Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, those guys make money. And those guys he can do something with. Now, am I disappointed that he didn't do anything Buff Bagwell? Yeah, because if you look at it, once he transitioned from being a full-time wrestler, he was kind of really Scott Steiner's manager or lackey or sidekick. If he would have brought those two guys over at the same time, you brought Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, you brought those two guys, and that was a very good act. If he'd have brought those two guys over doing that same exact act, Buff Bagwell would have been more valuable doing that instead of Buff being a full-time wrestler.
And to be fair, Buff's ring work did start to fall off after he had that ankle issue.
Yes.
Which obviously led to the painkillers, which then led to the car accident, which blah, 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 spiraling effect. But he was a really good wrestler. And I think that's what a lot of people forget, especially if you go back into the early 90s. He was almost Scott Steiner-ish, where he could do the power moves if he wanted to, but he was doing a lot of the flips and things like that. He wasn't like, Ray Phoenix or something out there doing all the flips and everything, but he could do everything if he wanted to. It's weird that he never got a bigger push than what he did. And I mean, WCW did have a fair amount of stars, and I think also what killed them was bringing over the Hulk Hogans and the Brutus Beefcakes and guys like that. I mean, Hogan, obviously we know the value of Hogan, but like when you bring Hogan, you bring a lot of dead weight, and it's a known thing. Brutus Beefcake, what value does Brutus Beefcake have past 1988? None. I think the only thing he's known for after like the late 80s is the Shawn Michaels Marty Jannetty incident happening on his scripted the barbershop thing where they broke up the tag team. Other than that, Beefcake provided no value, but he was everywhere that Hogan went.
Yes. He was the de facto Hollywood Hulk Hogan bodyguard.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny how the guy you bodyguarding is bigger than you. But with Buff, I think what Buff is that we always going to remember Buff as a tag team wrestler. All right. Yeah, he tag team with Atlas, right? He tag team with Too Cold Scorpio. He had a makeshift tag team.
Yeah, Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah. He had a makeshift tag team with himself, Jim Duggan, and Too Cold Scorpio. Who was the other guy? He became a tag team champion with Scotty Rigg.
American Males.
Males. That right there, that's a Vince McMahon type act. He like that. That's a Vince McMahon type act. Now, if them two, if they went to WWF back in 92, 90, well, when they won the champions in 93, 94, that act will perfectly work in the WWF with Vince McMahon.
Scotty Riggs is another one too that they never did anything with him.
Nah.
Like he went from doing the American Males thing to he was a singles wrestler for a while, basically just glorified enhancement talent. To then he was like a member of Raven's Flock, where he wore like the eye patch and all that kind of stuff. But Scotty Riggs was great.
Yeah. But he has some issues too.
Yeah, he had pill issues and things like that.
Yeah. But Scotty Riggs held his own in the ring. He held his own in the ring.
And that's just like TNA. WCW was like the precursor to TNA. Hogan wasn't as bad in WCW early on as what he was in TNA, where basically from the time he came into TNA, it went completely downhill. And spiraling that off, I'll get to it later, but that kind of leads into the Vince Russo stuff as well. But wherever Hogan went, it was like the old guard had to be in place. And guys like the Beefcakes, the Horace Hogans, guys that had no business being anywhere around a wrestling ring at this point, were getting screen time and everything else were guys that could go. Alex Wright, Scotty Riggs, Scott Norton for being a big dude, he could go. Like guys that could literally get a push and actually do something were just relegated to, if you were lucky, the Saturday show. What was it? Saturday main event or whatever that they called it?
WCW Saturday Night.
Yeah, WCW Saturday Night. And that was before Thunder. That was like, that was their B show.
WCW Saturday Night was probably one of my favorite shows ever because, one, it was held in the studio. And I love the interview segments they did. And you knew it was a studio, but they made it work. They didn't need a large crowd. They didn't need what I mean large crowd means that they didn't need a crowd like when we see on WW on Monday Night Raw. They ain't had no 15, 14, 16,000 people. It was kind of like they were the first NXT crowd before NXT. It was done in the studio, so you had like a few hundred people, maybe no more than 1,000 sometime. And I'm kind of surprised that a lot of these like TNA, NWA, that they don't take this concept in even NXT, is that the interview segments they did was great. You had Mean Gene and you had my best favorite one was like Mean Gene and Ric Flair, and you can tell that the interview they did, it wasn't script. It was just, hey, Ric Flair, what do you think about this? And Ric Flair just went right into it. It wasn't script. It wasn't written down. It was all the top of his dome. And you don't see that a lot. And I love the fact when they did the interview that when they shoot the camera, you knew it was WCW because they had the WCW yellow logo in the background. And the quality of matches, it was outstanding back in those days. And they used WCW Saturday Night not only to promote their big stars, but they also use it to build stars on there. People we not have heard of. They put them on that show and they developed them and they built them up and made them to big stars. That's what's missing in a lot of professional wrestling today. WCW had a blueprint.
Saturdays were great when we were kids for wrestling because you'd have Saturday morning superstars for WWF, first thing in the morning, and then you'd have WCW Saturday Night.
Yeah. And
then if you were lucky, it would also be on the same Saturdays. You'd have Saturday Night Main Event, which, those were few and far between. Saturdays were great for wrestling. And Saturday Night's Main Event was always good because they did a good job of keeping everybody building. That was like their building show. Like we're always putting people out there, getting new people going, pushing them, things like that. First time I ever saw Cactus Jack was on Saturday Night's Main Event. And it was during a feud with Vader, where Vader had powerbombed him outside of the ring, and it led to this amnesia storyline that they ran with Cactus Jack for a while.
I remember that because he was like, it was Cactus Jack, then he was somebody else, but then even though he played that amnesia pretty dang good, that was one of the best Mick Foley works I've ever seen. He still had something like bang bang, he'll do that, and just he might not remember who he is and all that, but just bang bang, it's still like a reminder there. And on the side note, off topic here, a lot of wrestlers don't even remember when Mick Foley was Cactus Jack at WCW. That was the best Mick Foley, the best Cactus Jack that we seen he was in WCW, not the WWE version.
That Cactus Jack was the same Cactus Jack from when he would go over to Japan.
Yes.
And actually do the death matches and things like that. So that's why the similarity was there, where when he got to WWE, it was
watered down.
I was going to say whitewashed, but yeah, watered down. call it what you want. It wasn't the same type of Cactus Jack as what you would have got back in WCW and New Japan. WCW had a lot of guys that never got a chance, and a lot of that is the Hogan effect. It wasn't nearly as bad in the early 90s, but especially once the NWO hit, there was nothing for anybody to do.
Yeah. No, I kind of felt like Scott Norton could have been a bigger star than he was.
Scott Norton was like the biggest thing in Japan.
Yeah, instead of being a secondary tag team wrestler with Buff Bagwell, nothing against that, but I kind of felt like if those guys weren't part of the NWO, those guys could have been tag team champions.
Yeah.
I mean, you put them against the outsiders, that would have been a hell of a match.
It would have been. It's as great as the NWO was for wrestling, it was also really bad. Because you had one of the best storylines of all time in Hogan versus Sting. Just for Hogan, I almost said Sting, just for Hogan to screw it all up.
Yeah.
And if we were to do a true history of WCW, we would probably need a couple-hour show, not just like a 45-minute one.
Right.
But it would all come down to how many times did Hulk Hogan screw over WCW is really what it would come down to.
Man, how many times that we have said that Hulk Hogan don't put over anybody until like it was beneficial for him. Like putting over Goldberg benefited Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%.
Putting over Sting should have benefited Sting, but
Hogan found a way to screw that up too. And I won't say that I love Vince Russo, but I respect Vince Russo, and I think Vince Russo gets blamed for a lot of things that were not his fault because of Hulk Hogan. If you look at all the times when people want to complain about Vince Russo, it's when Hulk Hogan is directly involved. TNA, the end of WCW, like Bash at the Beach 2000. There was a plan there. Hogan was supposed to lose to Jarrett, Booker T, and Jeff Jarrett were going to wrestle again later that night, and Booker T was going to win. Hogan decided he didn't want to lose, which led to Jarrett laying down on the mat and getting the boot on the chest, which then led to Hogan doing his little flip out on the microphone, which led to Vince Russo coming out and basically calling out all the bullshit right there on the spot. And then we still got the match where, okay, Hogan, you go take the title. We're just now going to have a new title, and we're going to have Jeff Jarrett wrestle Booker T for it. Because why? Vince Russo was trying to push the Jeff Jarretts. Because what led to that? Jeff Jarrett. You had how many main eventers? You lost one main eventer in Hogan, and you got Jeff Jarrett, you got Booker T, you got Scott Steiner. All those guys, and DDP on top of that. So you really got 4 guys in the main event scene for losing Hogan.
Yeah.
Because Vince was trying to push new guys. Because WCW at that point was stale.
Yeah. The thing with WCW was that, number one, we got to say how it is. It was too many guys in WCW had too much creative control over their character.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got too many guys like that, it's not good for business because they're not trying to do business for the company. They're trying to do business for themselves. Hulk Hogan, when he signed with WCW, he wanted creative control. I think it was the second time he signed with WCW.
Yeah, because the first contract he had, everybody was like, he was pretty amicable about everything. But once the NWO really started going is when everything went to hell.
Yeah. Him and Bischoff. Yeah. So we also got to say Bischoff played a big role in this too as well.
Yeah.
So Hulk Hogan in those days, Hulk Hogan's biggest star in wrestling. But even when you're the biggest star in professional wrestling, or you the top dog in your company, you still got to be able to put guys over. Like Jeff Jarrett, I don't care how you guys feel about it, Jeff Jarrett was a big star in WCW. The guy deserved a title run. The guy deserved to have that title. The guy should have beaten Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Steiner was a huge star. Booker T was a huge star. Chris Benoit was a huge star. And because of Hulk Hogan wanted to hold the title and not put those guys over because he felt that it wouldn't benefit him. And whereas if he did put those guys over, it would benefit him and the company. If you look at it, hindsight 2020, WCW stopped building wrestlers once an NWO was formed. They stopped. They ran with it and forgot to build other guys. They forgot to build other contenders. They just ran with the NWO. NWO ran WCW to the ground because once Hogan left, once Hall and Nash was gone, give Scott Steiner the title, and how entertaining it was it was empty. It didn't mean nothing. Booker T had a title. He had a nice run, but at that point, WCW was on life support. Chris Benoit, when he had a title, WCW was on life support because they waited too long to put the titles on these guys, and they didn't build other wrestlers.
I mean, an example of that is after NWO died, they did the whole Millionaires Club versus the New Blood. And that was Vince Russo trying to establish, like, you guys haven't done anything to give me any talent that can do main event stuff with. I have to do it myself organically. And then what happened? All those Millionaire Club guys are the guys that had creative control. So they booked themselves into winning. And you literally killed all of your up-and-coming guys.
Yes.
Destroyed
you killed everything you had left in that company by letting guys having creative control over their character.
And again, the same guys that we bring up on random shows, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, the two biggest problems. Scott Hall, he's going to go with whatever Nash says, and on top of it, he was probably too drunk at the time to even care, honestly, which leaves it to Nash and Hogan. And yeah, WCW, like, if they would have done the WCW versus WCW, which is what they tried doing for like the first year, and then once the Hogan Sting match happened, they kind of went away from that whole thing to the point that they had a video game come out. WCW versus NWO. Great game. Loved it. If they would have kept that going, it could have worked, at least for an extended period of time. But everything became, well, we don't know what to do with you, so we're just going to put you in the NWO, and anytime we do any gang-related attacks or anything, just run out there with the NWO guys. Buff Bagwell, Scott Norton, two guys that fell victim to that. They were in the NWO. Buff started wearing the whole top hats that were really cool. He actually worked. It worked for those two guys, so it wasn't necessarily a downfall for them. But like guys like Conan, guys like Virgil or Vincent or whatever his name was in WCW, like random guys, like, you don't have any business there. What are you doing? But it's because they didn't plan any stories for any of these guys to do anything, because the only thing that mattered was WCW versus NWO. So Sting and Hogan. And then whatever tag team that we could put, at the time, Harlem Heat versus, the Outsiders or anything like that. And Hogan, for his role in the NWO, Hogan wasn't the driving force in the NWO. Nash was. Everybody knows that. Hall and Nash were the reason people were really interested in the NWO.
And not only that, Hulk Hogan was he like a last minute addition to the NWO? Like, he wasn't the original?
No, he's the one that actually was pushing for it. So there's stories that go back. Some of them are by Hogan, which you can't believe, because, I mean, Hulk Hogan's the same guy that said that Lars Ulrich called him and asked him to be the bassist for Metallica, which we all know is complete and utter garbage. But there's been stories that have went around through various wrestlers, but they're always his friends, the Brutus Beefcakes, people like that he had pitched himself to be the original Triple H back in WWF. Everybody knows, and it's pretty well documented, that Hogan wanted a heel turn back in the early 90s.
Yeah, he did.
And he wanted to be Hollywood Hulk Hogan back then. So that whole thing just kind of carried over into WCW. Whether it was him being a solo act or him being part of the NWO, I don't really know. Nobody's really ever talked about that. Nash has always said that was kind of Hall's brainchild and that they pitched it. The Outsiders was something that they came up with collectively and pitched it to Bischoff, but then expanding into the NWO was all a Scott Hall idea from the interviews and stuff that I've seen. Just like the Sting look. That was all Scott Hall.
Yeah, and I was surprised by that about that, because I kind of felt that Sting, I kind of felt he wouldn't even go for that, but I was surprised he did.
Sting's character
wasn't stale at all. That's the whole point.
He was just like a guy. Like, when you think of a pro wrestler, especially like 80s, 90s pro wrestler, Sting and Ultimate Warrior were kind of like, you're thinking of a guy with some face paint on and a big buff blonde-haired guy.
Yeah,
Sting and the Ultimate Warrior.
We also talking about the guy who has some of the greatest matches of all time against Ric Flair.
It's true, but was he a bigger star with the Sting makeup on than he was with the I don't even know.
I mean, because if you look
kind of
at
style.
it, because it was the Crow look, and during that time, Crow was one of the top movies in the movie theaters. That look was one of the best looks for everyone to use, and it just looked it perfect on Sting. And I can't really give Scott Hall a lot of credit for that, because, like I said, like that Crow look, it came out when the Crow came out. That was the look. That was the hot look.
The benefit of it was, though, is Sting's character without the Crow look, he talked a lot. He did a lot of talking. He was very vocal, things like that. Like in promos, things, he was talking a lot. When he came back as the Crow Sting, It was like that silent side of WCW because he was the face of WCW going against the NWO. He doesn't need to talk. It was come down from the rafters, do your thing, disappear. Come down, fight 15 guys at one time with a baseball bat, disappear. It would have been a lot different if Sting comes marching down of Hulk Hogan, I'm going to come beat you up and getting out in front of Mean Gene and doing all that kind of stuff. It wouldn't have had the same impact. Ultimately, it was a good call.
It wouldn't have the same impact, but I still just feel like, hey man, you can't take credit like that. I mean, The Crow, the movie and all that. There's a few things I didn't like though. Number one, the NWO expanded too big and too fast.
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of felt that for that type of faction, no more than six guys, maybe five, my max, but maybe five would be just perfect, but six, no more than that. You know, Hogan, Hall, Nash, X-Pac, Buff Bagwell, and
well, I
Scott
get it.
Steiner.
It was supposed to be the NWO was taking over. So going for that aspect of like New World Order, building an army, taking over, they had to expand it out. But the problem was there was only like 5 guys in the NWO, 6 guys that were actually doing anything. The rest of them were just there.
They're just glorified bodyguard.
Yeah, especially in the first year, it was just a bunch of dudes standing around doing nothing. Kevin Nash and Hall would have their outsider matches. Hogan would be doing his thing. Conan would have like, a match against a luchador or something. But for the most part, all those other guys were just standing around doing we're going to go jump and beat somebody up segments.
Yeah,
And that was the problem is it was very much the bloodline. If you go back and look at the bloodline versus the NWO,
they're the
every show ran around one story. And if you weren't part of that story, you were just the cannon fodder. You weren't thought of.
Yeah. But I still feel like they expanded too big, too fast. I think like they should have done it gradual over time. And two, I hate the fact that Hogan had his faction, Hall had his, and Nash had his, and them three guys.
Well, and that's when it started getting stupid.
They
lost focus at that point.
You can tell when they did that, they had no more creative ideas.
Yeah, like the Wolfpack and now the NWO is fighting itself with the Wolfpack versus the NWO. That's where it was like, you guys have no idea what you're doing at this point.
Yeah. Prime example, the guys that you beat up, Macho Man Randy Savage, Lex Luger, and Sting, all of a sudden they part of the NWO Wolfpack or part of the Hulk Hogan NWO.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? And then on the WCW side, you just had DDP.
Well, and the Wolfpack was supposed to be the face side of the NWO. That's why you had Luger over there, which, does anybody ever care about Lex Luger? Like,
no.
How did he get lumped in there? Seriously? Like, and then Macho Man? You should have had a core stable of WCW guys to go with Sting. Sting joining the NWO was about the dumbest thing ever. I don't care that it was the Wolfpack side. It was still the dumbest thing you could have done. You should have had your DDPs, your Macho Mans, hell, Lex Luger, because he was still in decent shape, and have a core stable of guys after Hogan and Sting had their big feud that then fights the NWO and then just puts it to bed. It's done. And at that point, maybe Hall and Nash just kind of do the outsiders thing. That would have been fine. But it's like, I get it. When you have a good thing, you want to ride it until it's dead. But when you have to write the stuff and you realize you're putting junk out there, Bischoff had to see that this ain't working. But because they were still selling merch, they just kept pushing it.
No, yeah, he's seen it. Just like you say, he kept pushing. He didn't care because as long as it was bringing in money, it didn't matter. I want to say this. Do you know who also was an underrated tandem in the NWO? And they never got the push that they deserve. And you already know who I'm talking about. Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude. Rick Rude with Kurt Hennig. Well, to me, that was great. That was great.
Rick Rude, I don't think could wrestle by that point anymore. I think
no. I was talking about like I was talking about how Bagwell and Scott Steiner were a great duo.
Scott Norton, yeah.
Steiner, Bagwell was Steiner's manager.
Yeah.
Rick Rude was the first. Rick Rude and Kurt Hennig. Kurt Hennig was the wrestler. Rick Rude was his guy who stood by his side outside the ring, made sure that Kurt wins every match. That was
I don't know. Kurt Hennig to me, when I was a little kid, was my favorite heel. I mean, you're going back to Mr. Perfect and WWF back then, but I don't know how he never became heavyweight champ in WWF or WCW. Like it, because he could do everything. It's still just kind of like, especially because he was so tied in with some of those guys. All that Minneapolis set of all those wrestlers, the Road Warriors, Scott Norton, all those guys from the Minneapolis area were all headliners between the two companies. And I don't know how he never got pushed into a main event scene. But yeah, Rick Rude, I mean, he destroyed his back. I forgot what happened, but he destroyed his back and he wasn't cleared to wrestle anymore. But he was a great manager as well. And I loved Rick Rude. It's also Rick Rude's fault that Ultimate Warrior ever became heavyweight champion, because Rick Rude made him look decent enough in the ring that Vince McMahon gave him a shot.
Yeah, that totally
Rick Rude
backfired.
for that.
Yeah, that backfired like a mud. I know Rick Rude was like, wait a minute. Not only I made this guy look good, I got this guy over. And you telling me he's gonna get the title? I'm not gonna get the title. So I'm just really just gonna be the Intercontinental Champion my entire run here in WWE.
Ultimate Warrior, one of the absolute worst wrestlers of all time. So to make somebody look good, that tells you how good Rick Rude actually was.
And Rick Rude was great.
And he doesn't get nearly enough credit. Before the show started, we were talking about the Buff Bagwell best physiques or whatever, and they were complaining that he wasn't on the list. Rick Rude would have to be top 3 on that list, because that dude, not only was he jacked, but he was built. There's a lot of guys that can be jacked and they have no real definition. Then there's guys that are shredded that just aren't that big. Rick Rude had both.
Yeah, and I read something, I want to say a couple of days ago, that because I'm always looking up for wrestling facts and everything, and it said that back in those days, Rick Rude, his size, he was bench pressing over 400 pounds. I believe it. I mean,
and he was like a legit tough guy too.
Yeah.
Like they said, if you ever went into a bar and got into a fight, you went and got Haku and you went and got Rick Rude and you'd clear the bar out.
Yeah. And not only that, you know, it was just that dynamic of him and Kurt Hennig, childhood friends, grew up together, and they made it to where they wanted to be in professional wrestling. Don't get me wrong, like both guys have ambition to be world champions. Like Kurt Hennig should have been a world champion 5 times over and more. The simple fact that they made him a mid-card, and don't get me wrong, like when you think of mid-card wrestling, you think of Kurt Hennig, because Kurt Hennig and Macho Man, 2 of the best mid-card wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. They made the mid-card division, and somehow the mid-card division with the crap now. But back in those days, that mid-card division meant something. Like to hold the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, the television title, that meant a lot back in those days. And Rick Rude was one of those guys who made the mid-card level famous.
Well, Rick Rude had a few WCW title runs.
Well, I'm sorry. Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude and Macho Man. I'm sorry about that.
But it's just weird to think that WCW had so many top guys that just didn't go anywhere. Very much again like the Bloodline.
Yeah,
you had one guy bogarting the title for years, and it stifles all your talent. I mean, you're talking about the mid to late 90s. Macho Man could still pull it off. And he did have a couple heavyweight title runs before the NWO got going. Rick Rude had some in the early 90s. But again, his back was completely shot at that point. But Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, never got anything. His biggest thing was that whole rap is crap thing, which admittedly was hilarious. But how do you just make him an offset guy in the NWO? Like, he didn't do anything in the NWO, like, at all.
No. Both guys were like mouthpieces. But Kurt Hennig was, to me, was one of the most talented ones in the ring, pound for pound. Like, it's amazing how, like, we sit here, we think like, damn, Hall and Nash got a push. Kevin Nash won a world championship. Kurt Hennig couldn't get it? Like, we sitting here, I mean, think about this, Jamie. Now, Goldberg, who is not a very good professional wrestler at all. No disrespect.
No, he's like half a step above Ultimate Warrior. Let's just call it what it is.
We all know this.
He's absolute trash.
Right. We all know this. And Nugget and Goldberg had a great wrestling career. That just hands down. He had a great wrestling career, but he's not, like you said, Ultimate Warrior here, Goldberg like this. Hulk Hogan was willing to put over Goldberg. Hulk Hogan was willing to put over Kevin Nash, and I'm a Kevin Nash fan, but damn. I mean, what we say? Ultimate Warrior, Goldberg, Kevin Nash ain't too far behind no two.
Kevin Nash in the late 80s, when he could still move around, would be about here.
Yeah.
Goldberg's about here. Ultimate Warrior's down here. After a couple knee surgeries, Kevin Nash was like between Ultimate Warrior and Goldberg at that point.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know, Kevin Nash was a Vinny Vegas. When he's Vinny Vegas, the dude can move around like his ass off. Yeah. But what I'm saying is
that Great Oz.
Yeah. what I'm saying is that Hogan put over Goldberg, he put over Kevin Nash, he put over guys who weren't even that good of a wrestler, except for Sting. But Kurt Hennig couldn't get a title run. I mean, I know Eric Bischoff's seeing a lot of stuff we seen. You telling this guy can't get a title run, or even a shot at the title? He ain't had to. Personally, him and Rick Rude didn't need to be part of the NWO. They could have done their own thing, be part of WCW.
If they would have went on the WCW side, again, the problem with WCW of why the NWO angle didn't really go anywhere is because they never formed an official team of WCW.
Right. And if they was on the WCW side, that would have been part of your official team.
Rick Rude would have been your mouthpiece for the team. And it could have worked, but because they never officially formed like a team, it was always just random guy partnering with Sting after the initial one-on-one match where Sting finally wrestled. It was just random guys until they put Sting in the Wolf Pack, which again, dumb. At that point, like, you knew the end was coming sooner than later because they had run out of ideas.
Right. Think about, like, if you had Kurt Hennig team with Sting, Luger, and DDP, would it look weird? 100% yes. It would look weird.
But that would have been kind of the point at the same time.
Right. It would have worked too.
Mm-hmm. You have some of your top guys banding together to stand against this group of guys, and it could have worked. They could have actually told a long story based on that, but they just lazy booking.
The simple fact that you had the NWO, but more importantly, you had the Four Horsemen, and you really didn't do anything with that. I felt like we got cheated where you could have had Hogan, Hall, and Nash, and X-Pac, and you got the Four Horsemen. They could have done a lot with that.
Yeah.
They could have done. I mean, when the Horsemen came back and they formed, right in the height of the NWO takeover, imagine those two groups would have collided. Those two factions would have collided.
Well, it's just funny to think about, because you think about Flair and Hogan wrestling in the late 90s, and everybody was always like making the call, you guys need to retire, you guys need to retire. I'm not going to disagree with that. But if you think about the age of those guys, they were late 40s, early 50s at that point.
Right.
But look at what they looked like back then, and look at John Cena at 47 that just retired.
Yeah, he looks good.
Doesn't look like a 47-year-old guy.
No. But with the Horsemen though, when they reformed, they got younger. You seen Chris Benoit.
They had to.
You seen Mongo, and you had Flair. I forgot who the other guy was. Oh, Dean Malenko. Yep. You've seen they got younger, and that benefit Ric Flair. And just imagine, Hogan had the outside, he had X-Pac, he had Conan, any type of combination that would have been great. But I prefer the originals plus X-Pac.
The originals at that point would have been way too old, but.
Right, but
that was the problem, is they put some people in the Four Horsemen. Like Dean Malenko has the charisma of a sheet of paper. Mongo had a little bit from the pro football career, coming up on a year in a couple months since he died, by the way.
Yeah.
Benoit, again, charisma of a paperweight to go on top of the piece of paper for Malenko. You had Flair trying to be the charisma for that entire faction at that point. Like, you needed to have one other person that could bounce off of Flair to kind of keep Flair hyped up. And that was what you were lacking, is Mongo would throw the four up and he'd say like a quick one-liner or something, but that was about it. It was Flair doing all the talking.
I mean, that's why I go back to, hey, you could have had Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude part of the Horsemen. That would have been legit.
How Kurt Hennig wasn't thrown into that mix when he was still an active wrestler is beyond me. But
even better, like, was Chris Jericho already had left WCW around that time?
Jericho left in...
Was it 99?
Yeah, because it was the whole Y2J thing.
Yeah. You could have had Chris Jericho in the Horseman. It would have worked. He'd have just been the mouthpiece, that charisma. He'd have brought that energy to the group.
Well, and that was the thing, is every time they brought it up, it was like the Four Horsemen were still supposed to be a thing. And it's like, you guys haven't done anything with them since the early 90s when you were having them go against like the Legion, or not the Legion. Yeah, it was the Legion of Doom. No, the actual, or no, what was it? It was something of Doom. Not the Road Warriors. It was Kevin Sullivan's thing. Maybe it was the Legion of Doom. It was Kevin Sullivan's like little nightmare group. I think it was the Legion of Doom.
Let's see.
Because I think they ripped it right out of the comic book. I might be wrong. When you know so much that you forget it in wrestling, that's what happens to me.
Army of Darkness.
That doesn't sound right, but I could be wrong.
Wait, no. I'm sorry. No. I
was gonna say
that was in CFW. Let's see.
Dungeon of Doom.
Yes.
That's it. Dungeon of Doom.
Dungeon of
So
Doom.
yeah, it was like the Four Horsemen versus the Dungeon of Doom. But that was about the extent of anything that they ever did in WCW.
Man, I just think about all the misses and all the misses that WCW had, man. I mean, like, I think about how they would have never went out of business if they would have just evolved or they just built on the guys they had. I mean, before me and you talking, we said we're going to do this. I'm really thinking about how they had Stone Cold Steve Austin and Brian Pillman and the Hollywood Blondes. That was a great act. That was a great
Hollywood
act.
Blondes, American Males. Yeah.
American Males. You had one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. One of them, Vader. And Vader came from New Japan and went to WCW, became a huge hit. I mean, I don't know how many times I watch the Great American Bash from my grandfather, and Vader just come out with this big ass Japanese helmet and shoulder pads, and you see he'll take it off, and you can tell he had a remote start on the damn thing. You see smoke
come out. You see the red eyes light up sometimes.
Yeah,
Vader was
like it was like, damn, that was sweet. I mean, first for a kid my age at that time watching, I thought that was the sweetest thing ever. And not only that, but he was 6'5", 300 pounds, and he backed it up in the ring. I don't know how many times him and Steen had classic matches. Him and Hogan had some good matches. But I always say this about Vader. For a guy his size, he put on some hell of a matches, but he wasn't appreciated enough to be champion in WCW, because if they would have done it right, Vader would have been one of the top champions of all time. But because he was so dominant, and look, and plus, you know, the Hulk Hogan factor, that Ric Flair factor, you just can't let Vader hold the title so many times.
Well, Vader had a nice addition that he had Harley Race as his manager.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Which gave him a lot of legitimacy. But yeah, when you're a heel, part of what makes you special is your aura coming down to the ring. You know, like Vader, he had the Mastodon helmet with the smoke coming out, the red eyes sometimes, things like that. And then he had Harley Race, which gave him legitimacy. Undertaker had the Paul Bearer coming out with the urn, just the look, the top hat, the coat, everything. Like being a heel, that's part of what you got to go for, especially back then when it was very much about characters. And Vader had everything that they needed. Why Vader only had the title, I can remember him being champion 3 times. And I know he was the United States champion at one point too. But he would have been, he's what Gunther should be now in WWE.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, so Vader had the benefit of coming from New Japan, where he had a pedigree, he had an established people in the wrestling business. You knew that this guy could go. So they would talk about that. The announcers would bring that up. Tony Schiavone, as much as I can't stand him, he would bring that stuff up to give him legitimacy to the fans. Well, then you have the look, the aura of him coming down to the ring with the Mastodon helmet. You have Harley Race there in his corner doing it, and he wrestled like a monster. And how he didn't have more title reigns to establish more baby faces is kind of beyond me. I know he had kind of the fallout with WCW, and which led him to going to WWF and all that kind of stuff, but Vader was a perfect heel. Well, it wasn't a mistake. It was the Hogan of WWE and Shawn Michaels destroying his career, because that's basically what happened.
Yeah, you said Gunther. I was thinking more as Bronson Reed.
I mean, size-wise in comparison, yes. But I'm saying Vader is what Gunther should look to be. But yes, size-wise, style-wise, everything, Bronson Reed would be almost a carbon copy of Vader. It would do Bronson Reed a good helping of good to style some of his stuff off of Vader.
Yeah, it would. I agree with you with Gunther, but also the reason I say Bronson Reed, because Bronson Reed, I kind of feel that he can be that type of heel.
He can be.
He can be that 100%. Type of heel.
He already is that kind of heel to a certain degree.
But just go full blown. Yeah, he needs to be that guy. Like you said, size wise, he's a little shorter than Vader.
Yeah, he's considerably shorter, but he's stocky. He's strong. Like that. He's got the look.
He's really strong, and like Vader, he can move in the ring. So, yeah, it's to me, Bronson Reed or even Powerhouse Hobbs.
Boy,
I'm not saying be like Vader.
Head goes down.
No. What I'm saying is, I don't need him to be like Vader, but but guys like him, that size, if you study Vader and just take some of the moves that he had learned, that he has done in the ring, I think a lot of those guys like him to need to incorporate some of that stuff. Because Vader wrestled big, he didn't wrestle small. Even when he wrestled some of the smaller guys, he wrestled big still, and I love to see these guys wrestle big. I mean, from a woman standpoint, I mean, we see Nia Jax wrestling big, we see Raquel wrestling big. So
only because you brought her name up and it triggered something I saw earlier today. I don't know if you've seen the meme going around. It's a picture of Jennifer Lopez, and they're saying, "Shut up, Nia Jax." Jennifer Lopez looks like 100-pound lighter Nia Jax. Apparently, it was a picture that was taken a couple nights ago or something. But yeah, she looks exactly like Nia Jax, just a little bit skinnier.
Oh wow, I got to check that out. But no, it to me it just reference with these guys that size, even AEW with Wardlow. I love to see these guys wrestle big and maybe study Vader to a point where maybe they can use some of his skill set, incorporate with their skill set.
Yeah, I mean, Vader.
I don't want none of them to do the Vader bomb because they can't do it right.
I think on one of the earlier shows that we did, I think I was calling for Bronson Reed to actually start doing the Vader bomb. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you did, because you said that Tusami is just
it's a fat guy falling down.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, when he does it, he does like the whole shaking thing, like, oh shit, I'm gonna fall. Yeah, like, it's weird. It's awkward to watch. But the Vader, for a lot of people, was the first time, me included, because I was little, that you saw a guy of that size doing a backflip off the top rope because he had the Vader salt.
Yes.
So it's weird when you say like best big men, because I would definitely put the two guys that I would always say are the two best big men are probably Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow. Because if you look at what they could do at their size, other guys aren't pulling that off. Now, if you say big man is a guy that's like 6'9" or above, like the Kanes and the Undertakers, they were super athletic for guys of their height, but they're not doing the stuff that Vader or Bam Bam Bigelow was doing.
Hey, don't forget the Big Boss Man too.
Big Boss Man to a slightly lesser degree, but yeah, he was up there too. I love Big Boss Man when I was a kid. You know, like the whole Nails feud that he had with that guy before he got himself fired. But I would still say Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader would definitely be two of the best of all time without any much of a hassle. Because nobody else was doing backflips, and like Bam Bam's doing cartwheels in the ring and all sorts of craziness. Like I remember the Nintendo game back in the day had Bam Bam doing the cartwheel in the ring. Nobody else in the game was doing a cartwheel but Bam Bam.
Right. And I'm glad I want to say this was like a few moments ago when you brought him up. I totally forgot that Harley Race, who was not a Hulk Hogan fan, by the way, who blamed Hulk Hogan for a lot of things that very accurate. It's not a shot at Hulk Hogan, rest in peace. Harley Race was correct on everything he said about Hulk Hogan. I forgot about Harley Race was Vader's manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like the fact they broke them up, but I also know that Harley Race, I don't know his relationship with WWE, but once Vader went to WWL, Harley Race didn't go with him.
Well, you've never seen Harley Race in WWE, period.
No, you're right, you didn't. Was that because of Jerry the King Lawler, the King?
I just don't think he wanted to deal with the politics of the WWE, WWF, call it what you want, but Harley Race was big into the territories. Like, he wanted the territories to keep going, which I don't blame him. But at the same time, like, when you can clearly see that the industry is going a certain way, it's that adapt to change or get run over by it. Harley Race's only benefit is that he was older at the point where being a manager and getting on TV was really the only thing he was going to do. It's not like he had to actively adapt while he was a wrestler to doing this, but he wanted the territories to keep going. Well, the territories basically did keep going. It just became, what company do you work for? What network are you on? It's just a different way to look at the territories. As far as guys hopping in their car and driving 300 miles a day to go from show to show to show, nobody wants to do that. You did that because it was a necessity at the time. That's in the late 80s into the 90s. Guys were still doing that, but you were starting to get booked on flights because now you're doing international shows. You're doing things like that where before it's like, oh, I'm going to go wrestle over in New Japan, but I'm going to the same venue 3 times a week. That was it. But yeah, I think it was more of he just didn't want to deal with Vince McMahon, of why he never bothered to go over there.
Actually, I got to correct you on that one. He did go to the WWF in 1986. He was managed by one of his longtime friends, Bobby Heenan. He also changed his look. He bleached his hair blonde and built himself again as handsome Harley Race.
Yeah.
He was undefeated for a while. And they also said, but during that time, they didn't recognize Vince McMahon did not recognize other wrestlers' credentials or wherever they did in other promotions. So if you want to give credit to who the credit's due, the reason why we got King in the Ring is because of Harley Race, and he won it. So that was kind of like, recognize his accomplishments from other promotions. And for the life of me, even today, WWE still don't recognize other wrestlers' accomplishments, other promotions. I say what I said again. Everybody recognizes John Cena as 17-time champion. That's WWE record. That's WWE record. I'm quite sure there have been other wrestlers who've been world champion more times than John Cena or Ric Flair. They just don't
if you go into some of the the indie stuff, sure, but even Ric Flair, that was collectively all of his title reigns from NWA to WCW to WWE. If you take his 2 title reigns out of WWE, he's only a 14-time champion.
Yeah.
So you could say it's more impressive that he did it all at one company. If it was the indie company and I'm the owner and I just, if it's Jeff Jarrett back in TNA, booking himself to win all the time, that's one thing. But it is pretty impressive that they made him the champion 17 times when he has no ownership of the company. But yeah, and I think Flair's record is actually false. I think he's actually only a 15-time champion. There's something to that. I can't remember what it is, but there's some nonsense about him only being a 15-time champion.
Right. And listen, if we all don't know, the original king is Harley Race, not Jerry Lawler. So don't get that twisted.
Yeah.
Some of y'all over here, hardcore WWE fans, no, Jerry King Lawler's the original king.
No, I did forget that Harley Race was there because again, in '86 that was 3.
Yeah, I know. It's understandable. I mean, he was 3 years old. You wouldn't.
No, I should have known because even when he went back to WCW, he was still bleaching his hair blonde as the manager of Vader and still going by Handsome Harley Race.
Yes.
He never reverted back. He stuck with it. But I mean, WCW, it's definitely something we could talk about more than just one show, but you might be getting too nerdy at that point and people might not care.
That's okay. We are wrestling nerds. And and just to piggyback off you, man, WCW, you can say what you want about WWF right now. WCW had all the talent. All the talents that we talk about now and then, they were in WCW before they became WWF legends. So WCW had all these guys.
Well, the difference is that Bischoff was letting them be themselves.
Yes.
And if you look at what WWE was still doing at the time, you had Vince making these guys play characters.
Yes.
Triple H comes over from WCW and he's Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the French douchebag. You've got, Steve, what's his face? The Brooklyn Brawler coming out as a guy dressed up as a baseball.
Yeah.
Mick Foley doing the whole Mankind thing, which Mankind actually worked. I was a big fan of Mankind.
Yeah. Don't forget the Dude Love.
Dude Love came later. That was his worst one by far.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was super character driven. And it wasn't until it was hey, we have to do something extreme or we're going to go out of business that Steve Austin started doing Steve Austin. And that wasn't new. He was doing that in ECW, which he used ECW to get his WWF contract. But again, he gets his contract, and then he becomes the ringmaster because
in a way, though,
character.
And what we also got to mention is that he was also kind of doing this with the Hollywood Blondes to a certain extent. Once he got to ECW, he went, okay, this is who I really am, and this is what we're going to do.
That's because he hated Bischoff.
Yes.
And he was trying to get fired.
Yes. And don't forget that Big Mark Calloway was in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
He had a nice run in WCW.
Him and Dan Spivey were the Skyscrapers.
Yep. And once his contract released, he went to WWF and became The Undertaker.
People forget or don't know that The Undertaker is one of the original Paul Heyman guys.
Yes, he is.
Because they were managed by Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman. Yep. So, again, I mean, Hunter Hearst Helmsley only lasted not even a year in WCW.
Yeah. He took the terrible WrestleMania 12 loss to the Ultimate Warrior in 8 seconds or whatever it was.
Yep. So, like I said, a lot of these guys came from WCW. A lot of these guys came from other territories and wrestled in WCW before they became household names in the WWF/WWE. the history of, because we didn't even touch on everything about WCW. But WCW, if you really want to believe it or not, was the company back in the day. If you want to get a good start in your career, WCW was that place to go.
Part of the problem, to wrap it up, Bischoff was a huge problem in WCW. And a lot of that came down to the checkbook was completely blank and he could write whatever checks he wanted. When you have that luxury, you tend to just start stocking talent just for the sake of stocking talent, which is a lot of what they did. But then you start offering ridiculous things like creative control. Well, when you offer creative control, you can book yourself as the main eventer, and there's really nothing anybody can do about it because it's in your contract. And look at who had all the creative control was all their main event guys. But the biggest thing that hurt was when Mick Foley won the title in WWE. Bischoff got too full of himself, and this is back when one of the funny things that Bischoff used to do is because Raw was still taped. That's how behind the times WWE was compared to WCW. Bischoff did a lot of great things that people don't like to give him credit for. Having a live show was probably the best thing that he ever did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
did. And he would come on at the beginning of Nitro and say, you don't need to watch Raw tonight. This is what happens. And he'd take 30 seconds and give you the results of all of Raw. And it worked because Raw was putting out a terrible show until Mick Foley won the title and said, don't worry about watching tonight. You're just going to see Mick Foley win the title. That got everybody to actually go and watch Raw. And Raw used to come, or Nitro used to come on an hour before Raw did. So they had that advantage too, but that time it blew up in their face, and that's when everything started to turn, because at that same time, Stone Cold did the whole Austin 316, like all those things were starting to come together. DX was starting to form. All that came together at one time, and it was like a perfect storm. Because by all rights, WWE basically should have went under, but everything just kind of happened all at one time, and they wrestled control back.
Yeah. And another thing before we go to the next topic in this show, the Rock and the Mick Foley match at the halftime of the Super Bowl, that worked as well.
Yeah.
With that said, we can do a little rapid fire here before we head up out of here. Jamie, we already know Power Hobbs is coming to the WWE. There is word that he changed his name to
Royce
Keys. Any thoughts on it?
I feel bad for you because you're not Obafemi. You're just not Obafemi. Sorry. You're not, Javon Evans. Like, you're just another dude at this point. Like, you're going to get lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and it's not like he's coming over as a main star. He's coming over as a dude that was in a trio over in AEW. Jade, when she came over as a single star to begin with. So he's just going to be a dude that's going to get lost in the shuffle unless Shawn Michaels has got some magical plan for him. But I've heard, from what I've read, he's going right to the main roster.
Yes.
And that's probably the worst thing that he could possibly do.
Yes, and he's going to SmackDown. Now, one fan did have an idea, and I think it might work. And this fan has said, if the WWE was smart, you would have turned Cody heel, and you would have him team up with Powerhouse Hobbs, in which everybody want to know who attacked Jacob Fatu, where you can have it where Cody hired Royce Keys, aka Hobbs, to beat up and attack Jacob Fatu, and you make them alliance.
The problem with what you said there is you started off with if WWE was smart.
Yes.
We all know that they're not, and they're not going to put that much thought into it. For all of Triple H is saying, I love long-term storytelling, he wouldn't have the mental capacity to think of something like that.
Right. So in that perspective, you're protecting both guys. You're protecting your new guy you just signed, and you're protecting Cody. Like I started off with, if the WWE smart. But shout out to that guy who came up with the idea, and I want to tell you,
it would be a great idea, and it would be it would be a way to push him.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the dude's name isn't going to help him either. Like, you could just call him Hobbs. Like, that's what I would have done. Drop the Powerhouse, because that doesn't need to be your name. Like, saying
good
he's a Powerhouse.
AEW. Now you're WWE.
Now you're just Hobbs, dude. Like Mr. Hughes. Remember Mr. Hughes back in the day? It was just Mr. Hughes. Just be Hobbs or Mr. Hobbs. Just shorten it up. Keep it simple. But change the entire name. He's going to get lost on some people.
Yeah,
unless you're a big AEW fan.
Yeah, and we all know how WWE, how they are a little frugal about coming in with your name and all that. But to that guy who came with the idea, you need to stop by your head, because if you keep hurting yourself like that with good ideas for the WWE, you're not going to be a fan again. Jamie, they're a nice setup. We seen Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu, wrestled no contest because Drew McIntyre interfered. Part 2 of this, we seen Sami Zayn win the Fatal 4-Way. He's fighting Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Can we sit here and say now that either Cody Rhodes is going to win the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber and get back in the title picture?
I mean, he's going to, just because WWE doesn't know how to think without him. It's amazing how they jump from one person to another. Like, if Roman was still actively competing on a full-time basis, Cody would still just be off to the side. But because Roman is an extreme part-timer now, he's not even on the Undertaker's schedule. He's like extreme part-time. All of their eggs are in the Cody basket. So they're going to ride Cody until the wheels completely fall off on him. And yeah, they're probably, if I had to guess, they're probably going to have him win the Elimination Chamber, because to their credit, they're trying to not be as predictable, which realistically, they're still pretty predictable, but they're trying hard to switch it up a little bit. It would be a little too predictable if Cody wins. And quite honestly, if Cody wins, people are probably going to start tuning out.
I think people already started tuning out.
I think they have too. I mean, you can look at SmackDown's ratings and see that for yourself. And they're not doing themselves any favors by having Drew McIntyre locked up in this Jacob Fatu Cody thing.
Here's a quick one. Move Cody Rhodes to Raw, and maybe he can feud with CM Punk.
Yeah.
Or maybe he can get some feud with other people. Move him to Raw. Move the Vision to SmackDown. Me get something fresh.
I mean, if I was...
sorry, I hurt myself for thinking too much.
If I was WWE, I would have had Drew show up on SmackDown just to talk shit and start a feud with one of the guys over there and just pull that guy over to SmackDown.
Yeah, that works. And finally, our last one. We seen, well, first of all, this gentleman right here called it. If you watched tonight's main event yesterday, you would have seen how Rhea Ripley rushed into that ring and did her, what's her move, Jamie? Riptide on Liv Morgan. It seems that them two just can't get away from each other no more. Big shout out to you for that one. But the thing is, without rumor has it's going to get a big push, and rumor has that she's going to fight Stephanie at WrestleMania. Because you know they put it out there that Liv never had a one-on-one match for a mega match at WrestleMania. She always been a tag team match with Raquel. She never had a mega championship match at WrestleMania. So do you believe that not only she's going to win the Royal Rumble, but do you believe that because of the push that she's going to get, they're just going to sweep Raquel to the side now?
No, I don't think Raquel gets swept to the side just because they've already put a lot into her. But I do see Liv Morgan winning the Royal Rumble. But I think Raquel will still be involved, and they're probably going to turn it into a three-way match. And I would expect that the Judgment Day would be breaking up right around that point, too.
And who's winning the title?
Liv Morgan.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right.
I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, she is crazy good in the ring. She's not Io Sky level good. She's not Stephanie Vacher level quite yet, but she's good.
Yeah. And a bonus one, we've seen a lot of people make these WrestleMania prediction cards, and I seen two of them, Jamie. And guess what? They had Julia wrestling on both of those cards.
I mean, there's making picks with your head and making picks with your heart. I could tell you what I'd like to see with my head and what I'd like to see with my heart. But then you have to have a third one that says WWE is pretty stupid. So what do we think WWE would actually do?
And both of those cards, they had Julia defending her Women's United States Championship against Tiffany Stratton.
And again, if she's still the champ by WrestleMania, you're doing something wrong.
Instead of being the main event scene?
In my opinion, she's probably the second best wrestler on the entire women's roster next to Io Sky.
You heard it here on the Signature Finisher podcast.
I mean, if I was the top 5 women between both shows, Io, probably go Bailey, Liv, and then it would be between Kairi or Asuka. And I'd say Asuka out of the two.
That's just fine.
And I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I would put Asuka before Bailey, so Bailey would drop to 5.
If I agree with that top 5. If I got to throw a bonus 6, I'm putting Stephanie. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, he's right. You're wrong. Watch the show.
Keep in mind, I'm not the one that ever says any of that. I just throw opinions out there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's been the show today. Tune in to watch us on Tuesday. Your boy snowed in. We both snowed in right now, so we got time to watch you guys.
And
enjoy
we're going to have to not do
Sunday.
the show on Sunday next weekend. We're going to have to do it on Saturday because I got an appointment with the hospital next Sunday.
Yeah, you do. You
do.
So we'll see you guys on Saturday afternoon. So
then there'll be a little new Daredevil that we can have on screen. And she'll be far more entertaining than I will.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to cry on screen. But trust me, it'll be tears of joy. And y'all won't never see it.
I mean, provided she doesn't decide to come a week early, we have the induction scheduled. I got to take her in next Sunday. So we'll have to do it on Saturday.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let you know, give you a call, and we're going to work this out.
I mean, I guess I could do it from the hospital, but, you know.
No. Tears of joy. Y'all ain't not going to see it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Center of Friendship Podcast. DS Walk. Daredevil J, because he like to dance with the devil and piss the devils off all the time. That's what he does. I'm glad he do piss the devil off and keep doing it. We see you guys later. Peace.
Later.
Yeah. DS Walk. Daredevil Walk. Signature finish, y'all. Let's go. Mic check. Fade in, red light on, DS in the chair, new day synced on. Got notes in the pad, got truth on deck. Ask real tight questions, put respect on the check. We break plays down, then we break them again. From the huddle to the hustle to the how we win. You can hear grind talk in the breaths we take. Every story got a scar, every star can't wait. It's that signature of finisher talk. Stand in every show with DS Walk. Daredevil J, bring the flame, no fear. If you came for the real, park right here. It's that signature of finisher talk. Run it to the end, we don't never cut it short. Turn the volume up till the doubt disappear. If you came for the real, park right here. Never drop in. Whole move, switch lanes, spin facts so sharp, cut straight through games. We don't chase bright noise, we just chase that proof. Put the mic on a mission, let the tape show truth. From the couch to the court, from the block to the board. Every guest got a journey, every play got a score. We just tie threads together, make the picture clear.